Hello guys and welcome to the channel. So today we'll be discussing 5 tips for surviving computer science. So if you're a CS freshman, or even if you're someone who's maybe in their second or third, or maybe even in their 4th year of computer science, you'll still get some useful tips in this video. I'm trying not to be as cliche as possible, but you'll see from some of the tips that they are a bit common sense, but common sense isn't really common. So let's dive into it. Quick note here, while I was editing the video, I just realized I just said 5 tips for surviving computer science. I didn't really specify it, but I am also going to be giving 2 bonus tips. So if you want to know what these useful tips are, keep watching the video. And yeah, so the first one is to always be learning. Coming into computer science, when I was still a freshman, I remember expecting to learn everything from my teachers. I thought coming into computer science that I would learn absolutely everything from them, and that included programming and calculus and mathematics and advanced math. And that was true to a degree, but I really didn't get a lot from them in terms of programming especially. And this is one of the biggest things that I learned throughout my computer science journey, which was to always be learning something new. And the reason for that is you have to realize that professors, at least most of the professors that you'll have, are academics. They are not programmers. And that's not always the case, but more often than not, it is. So yeah, a mindset you need to have is that learning doesn't stop in the classroom. When I was in my 1st and 2nd year, I didn't really study on my own. I just waited for the teacher to give us handouts, and so I would study that. And that really hindered my progress. So what I did was I started learning by making side projects, and that included like a chess game, a little tic-tac-toe game, and eventually it progressed until I started building websites.
Nice.
Eventually I built my own back-end and front-end, and that was the thing that really progressed my programming. In terms of computer science concepts, you'll still be learning from your professors, but it would be more beneficial if you study in advance. And I know that sounds like kind of a nerd thing to do, but it is what it is. For you to be learning, you have to make something, and that's by far the biggest thing that if you're going to take away from this video, that would be it, to always be learning. The second tip that I have for computer science students is to understand the prerequisites. Now, what do I mean by this? So coming to CS, you're going to have a lot of concepts that you need to grasp. For example, data types, variables, then you have data structures and algorithms, and so on and so forth. And what you need to realize are that CS concepts are just like Lego blocks. It means that they are stacked on top of one another, meaning you have to understand the concept before you learn something more complex. So what do I mean by this? For example, if you want to learn what lists are, first you have to understand what a variable is, right? And then before that, you have to understand what a data type is, like for example an integer or a character, right? And you will not have a good enough understanding of what lists are if you don't understand what data types are and what variables are. So really, understanding the prerequisites of concepts and topics is a must-do. Absolutely 100% must-do. You have to have a good foundation of these concepts before learning more complicated topics. And I've had many friends who've done this, and it took them quite a while to rebound because they're going to need to relearn some prerequisite topics that they could have just learned the first time around. So number 3, the third tip that I have is kind of a no-brainer, but it's getting things done ASAP. As a computer science student, I've always had the tendency to procrastinate. The best tip I have there is, number 1, to use the Pomodoro technique. If you don't know what that is, look it up, or maybe I can do a follow-up video on that. Number 2 is try to do at least 15 minutes of work. Just make sure to set your mind, I want to do something for 15 minutes, just for 15 minutes. And eventually, those 15 minutes aren't just going to be 15 minutes. You're going to end up working for like an hour, 2 hours because of momentum. You're going to build your momentum slowly. So that's it. Number 3, keep it simple, get things done ASAP. For the 4th tip that I have, it's not really a tip. It's more of something that you should be aware of, and that is imposter syndrome, or that everyone in your class has it. So If you don't know what imposter syndrome is, it's basically when someone, in this case a student, is doubtful of their skills or intelligence and has an irrational fear of being called out as someone who doesn't belong there. I just like you to know that everyone has it. You might think that some of my classmates are so advanced and that they already know how to code in Python or how to code in Java, and they're so good at this class and data structures and algorithms, and I'm starting from scratch. That is not true at all, okay? Let me tell you that from the get-go. Everyone has imposter syndrome, and I've had many stories about my classmates who seemed like they were really good at coding and really good at algorithms and data structures, but later on they revealed that they were just, studying. They were having such a hard time with the classes. They were really struggling as well. And the matter of the fact is that the only progress that you need to be worried about is yourself. You have to stop comparing your progress to others, because this is primarily where imposter syndrome starts to kick in. If you think that, oh no, I still haven't learned this, and classmate is really good at this topic, and this is going to really be where imposter syndrome starts to appear. For my fifth tip, it's pretty straightforward as well, but it is to learn to help others. And I know this sounds kind of doesn't make sense for someone who doesn't really know a lot about computer science topics or coding, for example, and that's okay. But I have found that once you do understand some things, like you understand a couple of topics, the best way to solidify that knowledge is to teach someone else. And that is because once you learn to explain a topic, you get a better understanding of it overall, right? And yeah, that's just it. Just learn to help others. So for the first bonus tip that I have, it's something that computer science students often overlook, and that is to stay healthy. Staying healthy means exercising and eating the right food, and I know this sounds like something that your mom would tell you, but I'm just here to say that this is really important. And the reason for that is you have a healthy mind when you have a healthy body. You cannot concentrate if you're eating like shit every single day. If you're eating chips and pizza and cake every single day, you're not going to be able to grasp concepts very easily. I know it's a reality check for some people, but staying healthy is one of the absolute best things that you can do for the longevity of your computer science degree. For the second bonus tip I have, it is something that I haven't really seen some other channels talk about, and it is to use your skills in university organizations. So what do I mean by this? So earlier I talked about the principle of always be learning, right? And I said that you learn by creating side projects. Now, it is a bit difficult to create side projects if you're the only one specifying the requirements for it. So what I always suggest is for you to join your university's organization. And it doesn't matter what organization. If me personally, I'm in my university's yearbook organization, and what I did was I built an application, or rather I built applications that are being used by the organizations right now. And that is very useful because number one, not only can you help your organization be much more streamlined, you can also help automate some boring, mundane tasks. Number two, it helps you solidify concepts that you learned, especially in programming. So when dealing with actual applications, you're going to be dealing with a lot of data, and you have to understand where the data is passing through. So if it's coming from a user, where does that data go to? Does it go to a database? Does it go to an API? So you have to understand these things, and there is no better way than to build applications for a fully functioning organization. An example of an application that I did was I created an email sender, because before I came into my organization, what they did was they sent custom emails manually, which was, as you can imagine, very tiresome. They had like 2,000 students that they needed to reach out to at any single point in time, and it had to be custom. So I wrote a small application in Python using PyQt5 and, sent an SMTP message to send emails. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to give you, motivation, because it's real world problems that you are solving. And this will really motivate you to keep building and keep learning. And yeah, those are all my tips for computer science students. If you guys think my tips have been useful, I'd like to know your thoughts. You can comment on the video down below, click subscribe and turn that notification bell on as well. And yeah, thank you so much, guys. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.